All right. All right. Welcome. Welcome. It is 12 noon on the dot. I will actually stop my screen sharing for a second and welcome all of you to the third installment of our series, Starting Strong. 5 things you need to know before starting a meditation practice. All right. So, for those of you who are just joining us, I'm Dr. Disha Mukherjee Phillip. I'm a cardiologist who deals with all matters of the heart and a primordial sound meditation teacher, as well as holistic and spiritual life coach for female physicians. So, even before you begin a meditation practice, there are a few things that are super, super important to know. And during this month, I will be going through the 5 things. So if you've already missed the first two, I'll do a quick recap. Lesson one, we talked about our why. Why do you want to start meditation practice? What is going on in your life that you're like, something needs to give? And I think meditation is the answer. And so maybe it's you want to do it for being a doctor, being a physician. You know, now it's kind of mainstream. We all know there's been tons of research that meditation is great for your blood pressure, for longevity, for calming down the nervous system, for anxiety, for depression, right? Or maybe you're going through a really difficult life challenge. Maybe you're going through a divorce or a huge move or a job transition, or maybe you're having trouble in your important relationships, maybe between your parents, between you and your spouse, maybe your children, or maybe you're just navigating burnout, which is kind of where I started. So it could be any one of those things or all of them, and you are just looking for some peace, right? Maybe you're just disillusioned with what's going on in the world in general. You watch the news like a good, responsible citizen every day, and you're just left feeling hopeless. And yet, inside of you, you know that it can't just be this, right? Or maybe you know that meditation is something that helps you connect with something bigger than yourself. But religion and religious dogma has failed you. Um, you don't believe in all that stuff. And yet, that seeks truth, right? What is it? What is it for you? So that was lesson one. It's very individual. If you've figured it out, go ahead and put it in the comments below wherever you're watching. We are live streaming this to Instagram, to Facebook, and to YouTube. And put it in the comments below. What is it? What is it that's driving you to be on this path? In our second week, we discussed understanding our inner relationship. We talked about our authentic self, that part of us that is always there, that has always been present. It's the part of us that came into this body, and our when we came out, our parents gave us a name. My parents gave me the name Disha. And even though when I look at myself in the mirror today and I look at my baby pictures, I look totally different, right? As do you probably. And yet there is something that continues to be the same. That baby they call Disha today, he's 47 years old, and this body is still called Disha, right? That is our authentic self. It's the part of us that never changes. It's the part of us that is eternal. It's the part of us that has all of our joy and enthusiasm and our passions, right? And then, of course, there's our conditioned self. And it's the part of us that was there to keep us safe, It's the recordings, it's the scripts that have been embedded into us from our well-meaning parents or guardians or teachers or media, right? Or whatever, right? And for a long time, it was there to keep us safe, but now it's keeping us stuck. And it's keeping us in that place of fear, and it keeps us inside of our comfort zone. And we're going to talk about more about this today. And then, of course, there's our loving, wise adult, that inner being, that part of us that usually comes out when we are dealing with our children, when our child is having a tantrum and we recognize, hey, maybe they're just tired, maybe they're just hungry, maybe they just need a tight hug, right? The one that understands the bigger picture of what's happening with through the lens of love, right? And so I had asked you for your homework to do a time study, your authentic self, conditioned self time study to see where are you? Check in with yourself. Are you in your authentic self in this moment or are you in your conditioned self? This exercise was extremely enlightening for me when I did it for the first time. I did it while I was kind of burned out and at work. And I recognized that while I was ready to give up medicine altogether because I just had it, what I realized was that when I was with my patients, I was in my authentic self. I felt connected. I felt in the moment. I wasn't thinking about all these other things, but I was able to be present to help and eager to help and wanting to help, right? But then at the end of the day, when I was sitting in front of my computer doing my charts or reading a bunch of echoes or whatever, I was very much in that tight, conditioned self, right? Kind of frustrated and aggravated and annoyed and all those kinds of things. Those were the two topics that we have covered so far. And today, so what actually, before we go on, that time study for you. Again, put it in the comments, email me, let me know if you did it. If you haven't done it, hello, Daydream, I see you there. That's great. Sometimes I don't see the comments, but it's great to see you there. Wonderful for you to join just in time as we start our next topic, which is I'm going to be sharing with you my screen here. Hold on. Mm, let's see here. We are going to share this one. Our growth versus fixed mindset with meditation. So, this is lesson number 3. So, what if I said to you, okay, if you tried meditation and you haven't been able to do it, forget it. It's hopeless for you. You're never going to get it. It's just not for you. I'm just kidding. That is absolutely not the truth, right? So, like any new skill, requires practice, right? We need to be able to do imperfect. Practice makes progress. So I love these pictures to remind us, right, when we're starting a new sport, or when, here we are with um, target practice, right? Or even learning to play the piano. If the first time you sit down to play the piano and you're not playing, you know, for at least 3 movements exactly perfectly, are you gonna be like, "Oh, forget it. I can't do it." Right? Are you gonna be like that? No, you're not gonna be like that, right? Because you know that when you embark and when you start something new, not gonna be perfect at it, and that's okay, right? And the thing is that it's a matter of just recognizing what it is. It is a skill. It is a skill, just like any other skill, right? So just like when a baby starts to walk, right? They fall down and then they get back up again and then they fall down and then they get back again, right? We never go to them and be like, "Oh, forget it. You're never gonna walk. Let me just carry you around everywhere." Right? We're not that's not how it works. We always encourage, right? And say, "Come on, let's go. Let's keep going." So that being said, though, I remember my first, oh, I have a typo there, sorry. First experience with meditation. Let me see here for a second. Um, there we are. So my first experience with meditation was, I'll never forget it. I was in a yoga studio, and at the end of the yoga session, we all sat down and they're like, "We're going to meditate." I'm like, "Okay." And I sat down, and I closed my eyes, and all that started was like my shoulders got tighter and tighter and back was spasmed, and I swear I think I was in more pain after the meditation practice than before. It was painful because I couldn't even sit there. And, I recognize now in hindsight, like, I had no core strength because it was after I had my babies, and I wasn't leaning up against something, so I wasn't comfortable at all, and it's just like I just couldn't get comfortable. And then when I kinda gave up. I was like, "Forget it. This is not for me. I'm done with that." But I kept getting books on meditation and, books are Band-Aids. Books are great. Lots of books help us. Um, but, I don't know about you, but I have, like, a lot of books sitting on my shelf where I've read chapters and doop, next one, right? And so it doesn't really help us. Sometimes it's good information, but it doesn't always transform us, right? There's a little bit more that needs to happen. But then when I decided to really get serious about my meditation practice and I had somebody really sit down and teach me, I remember just being like a little bit horrified at what was happening. And I remember like seeing my mind, and it was like a two-lane highway, and we had learned a mantra. I had received a mantra, and I could like see the mantra, but at the same time, all these lists of thoughts were going, right? It was like the thoughts were going this way and the mantra was going this way. And it was just like both of these things. And I was like, what is going on? There is so much stuff going on in here. What is going on this side of the highway, right? It was like the to-do list, the frustration, the regrets, the words. I mean, it was insane. I mean, literally, there was of thoughts going on. And I'm like, how am I ever going to be able to clear my mind? There's just no way. There's just no way. Right. And I was actually like, this is going to be really freaking scary for me. So that brings us to our growth versus fixed mindset. So let me share again. Hold on one second. Here we go. All right, here we are. So there we go. So embarking on the path of meditation is like starting a journey inward where each step is about discovering more about yourself and how you relate to the world. So, even though I said most books are band-aids, there's a wonderful book by Carol S. Dweck called Mindset, and it's the new psychology of success. And it offers a beautiful lens through which to view this journey. So let's explore how these mindsets can influence your meditation practice. So, first is the growth mindset. And this is really with the mindset that you want to come forward with when you embark on this journey. And what is it? So, a growth mindset is the belief that one's abilities and intelligence can be developed through dedication, hard work, and input from others. It faces challenges, persists in the face of setbacks, sees effort as the path to mastery, learns from criticism, and finds lessons and inspiration in the success of others. So, with a growth mindset, you see abilities, including your capacity for mindfulness and inner peace, as qualities that can be developed with practice. So Dweck captures the spirit when she says, in a growth mindset, challenges are exciting rather than threatening. So rather than thinking, oh, I'm going to reveal my weaknesses, you say, wow, here's a chance to grow, right? And so for many of us, especially if you're a physician, right? Like when we decided we wanted to become a doctor, we knew we weren't a doctor yet, right? But we knew that if we put the time and effort and diligence in, we could do it. Most of us knew that, right? I knew way back when, and maybe I got a bunch of rejection letters when I applied to medical school, but I knew something inside of me was just like, God dang it, I know I will be a good doctor and I have what it takes. And I say this to everybody, anybody who's applying to med school too, right? Like young people, if you know it's what you want to do, nothing can stop you. Nothing can stop you. And the way you're like, you know what? This is my opportunity again to prove myself, to show myself, right? And to keep learning and doing better. Um, and I can do this, right? I'm going to learn something from this. So when it comes to meditation, this growth mindset translates to approaching each session with curiosity and openness without judgment. Okay. Your mind wanders. It's frustrated, which is more like fixed mindset, which we'll cover in a second. You see it as an opportunity to gently return your focus, learning about patience and in the process. So, in the fixed mindset, right? This is the hurdle. This is the meditation hurdle. A fixed mindset might lead you to believe that your ability to be mindful or meditate effectively is innate and unchangeable. It's it's like it's fixed. It's like either you got it or you don't, right? Which we know is not true for most things, right? And it's not like you're just talented at meditation, right? So, there are those Olympic athletes, right? Or like NBA basketball players or whatever, right? Many of these professionals, right? Professional musicians, professional athletes will actually be kind of insulted if you say, oh my God, they're just so talented, because they're going to be like, no, I just worked my ass off every single day for how many years? It's not just talent. I've worked hard at this, right? And it's whatever you focus on grows, right? But in the fixed mindset, you believe that your qualities are carved in stone. It create, and then when you sit down, it creates this urgency to prove yourself over and over, right? So if you approach meditation with a fixed mindset, like either I'm going to be able to do it or I'm not going to be able to do it, you might feel really discouraged, right, by distractions or a busy mind, viewing them as signs that you're not good at this, right? You're not good at meditation. And this can lead to giving up or feeling stuck and missing out on the deeper benefits of meditation and a consistent practice, right? So, on this chart here, I have, the differences, like what would a growth mindset when it comes to meditation look like? And what would a fixed mindset? So the growth mindset approaches each session, like I said, with wonder, curiosity, like, you know what? At least I'm sitting down. Let's see what comes of this, right? Versus the fixed mindset, you approach each session with an expectation of, I'm going to do this and I'm going to feel like a rock star immediately afterwards, or I'm going to see some psychedelic colors, or it's going to be this totally incredible experience, right? You just like come in with some kind of an expectation and you're waiting for it to happen. The growth mindset shows, observes with patience and accepts the experience as it is, right? So when you have a growth mindset and you're sitting down for your meditation, you are sitting without judgment, and you observe and you see and you don't judge. So what do? You just right? You look at it with love. But with the fixed mindset, you immediately get frustrated, right? And you start doubting your own abilities because whatever expectation you had wasn't being met at the moment, right? And then the growth mindset celebrates that you even sat and did anything, that you even tried and got out of your comfort zone, which we're going to talk about in a second, or and versus the fixed mindset, which quits early on, believing that they just don't have what it takes, right? Maybe sitting down and doing this is a little bit more challenging, or you'll say this is hard, right? But this can be fun. And it's about believing that your true potential is unknown. We always say, Deepak Chopra teaches, right? Meditation, right, gets you to the realm of infinite possibilities, that it's impossible to foresee what can be accomplished with years of dedication training. So I can even tell you on a real life example for myself. I started after I had my babies, I had a diastasis, which is a separation, right, in the abdominal wall, and I had a lot of lower back pain and core instability, pelvic floor instability, and I went to pelvic floor PT, which I highly recommend. But it, that I could close it like on my own. I mean, people kept telling me that it's possible, but I don't know if I really believed it. Like my surgeon colleagues would be like, "Oh, let's just get surgery and I'll put a mesh in and I'll take care of it," right? But I didn't want to do that because in the back of my head, I also have a deep belief that your body can heal itself if you give it the right input. Most things, not everything. So anyhow, I started last year, about a year ago, I started going to Pilates, and we have a club Pilates in the area, and I didn't do it with the intention or expectation that my diastasis would close. I was just going because I was hoping that it would maybe help my low back pain. I knew I needed to do something to improve my strength. And I was like, you know what? Let me just give this the good college try. And I will just show up. I'll 2 to 3 times a week. And so that's what I did. And so I would just put it in my schedule and I would go and show up and do the class, think much more of it. I would try to do what they asked me to do. And then I signed up for a private session because I wanted to see kind of what else I could do for my diastasis. And when the teacher examined me, she was like, Disha, you're actually within normal limits now. And I'm like, what? And never did I expect something like that to happen. Never. Like it just wasn't even it was beyond the realm of what I could comprehend. I was like, "What?" And I was really excited about this. And this was about and the point of this story is that I showed up every time. I showed up consistently 2 to 3 times a week, just kept going. I reached 100 classes. I'm reaching 110, 120 classes. And it just keeps showing up. Same with meditation. When I started my meditation practice, I just kept showing up. Maybe sometimes I would fall asleep. Maybe sometimes I would be sitting there and ruminating about God knows what. Maybe sometime, whatever it was, I showed up. I showed up for the 20 minutes in the morning. I showed up for 20 minutes sometimes at lunch. Or if it wasn't the 20 minutes, I would show up for 10 minutes, right? But something, it was different than what I was doing. And so is that um, meditation is really a lot like life. It's a journey with no real fixed destination. Although we know that people who meditate on a regular have are able to connect more with love and joy and peace, right? It's a practice where growth happens not in leaps and bounds, but in the quiet moments of returning to the breath again and again. Or maybe it's in that moment where you would have snapped at your kid, but this time, moment took a deep breath and responded with love, right? The benefits of a meditation practice happen outside the practice. not during it per se. The growth mindset can be taught and it can be learned. We all have it inside of us because we've all learned to do things that we didn't learn, like that we didn't innately know before. Every time you push out of your comfort zone to learn something new, the neurons in your brain can form new connections, stronger connections. And over time, we get smarter. So every moment of mindfulness, every return to the breath is a step toward greater peace and understanding. Embrace each challenge, not as a setback, okay, but as a chance to grow deeper in your practice. So, in embracing this journey with a growth mindset, you open the door to endless possibilities for inner peace, resilience, and joy. And I really appreciate Miss Carol S. Dweck, who has reminded us that every moment, every breath is an opportunity to grow. Okay? So, that, my darlings, is the lesson for today. Embarking. So, embarking on this journey of meditation and growth will take practice, will take a growth mindset, but the benefits of this are literally beyond anything that you can ever imagine. And so we stay open with love, with a non judgmental mindset, with wonder and curiosity, and we show up. We show up for ourselves. 5 minutes, 10 minutes, 20 minutes with a guide like myself, right? So, with some accountability is always helpful. So, thank you for joining me today. Put your comments, put your ahas in the comments below. When have you used a growth mindset in your life before? What have you learned when you implemented this kind of mindset where you kept pushing through, knowing that you were going to get better at something and you kept showing up for yourself? Put it in the comments. I will go through. I can't see everybody right now, but I will go through and definitely respond. And so I wish you a wonderful, wonderful day. Join me next time. And if you haven't seen the other ones, go back and watch the other lessons. And if you didn't get them or you don't know where to find them, go ahead and contact me. All right. Have a wonderful day. I'll talk to you later. Bye. Namaste. Mwah.